Hello everyone, I'm going to do a quick walkthrough, step one of basically putting together the base, of the full base of the storage bin. I'm not going to do a full install because it's fairly straightforward on what you have to do here. It does come with the base, and depending on which front you bought, you either get the full MOLLE grid front or you get the solid front. Now what we have is there should be 11 of the L brackets going around. You should have 22 nuts and screws that come with these. These will all be stainless steel 6mm screws, and then these will be locking nuts that you get with the kit. So you just want to go through, set these on. I recommend going through and put like all the ones on the base first, and then that way you can just set the front part up against it and then start running those through. Just keep them all hand tight until you get everything in place, and then you can kind of go back and start tightening them down. Now the bin does come with one divider, and it will come with 3 more L brackets that go with the kit. There'll be one more up here that you'll be able to use. On putting these in, I do recommend you put an L bracket on each side, because then it gives you more strength on side-to-side movement if something's in here. We do not use washers on any of the screws because it just makes it have a nice, much cleaner look without having the washers on it. Now the kit does come with 3 washers inside of it, and what those 3 washers are for is putting in your divider, because the divider, since it's sitting in these slots, we thought it was better to have a washer that goes along with those. So when you see the 3 washers in the kit, that's what those are for the divider. And then if you buy an extra divider, that divider will come with 3 more L brackets and then all the screws and nuts and washers that you need to put that in. The kit does come with 2 locks. Now all of these are 10mm nuts, 6mm screws on the front, and then the only difference on anything that you need for tools will be on the lock. Those are actually 8mm nuts, serrated nuts on the back of the lock, and then on the front they will be 3mm screws on the front. Now to install the locks, you do want to put those in from the inside. That way it hides the base of the lock, and all you have is what the rest of the lock that comes out of the back. The kit does also come with plugs for the rocker switch and the air coupler holes in case you do not use the air compressor stuff. That if you don't install an air compressor while using the MOLLE front, you will have plugs for those. These holes do not exist on the full solid model. The logos are not on the full solid model. The logos move to the front. That way there's no holes on the sides to be able to see in under the seat. Now, a few people have asked me about, they don't want people to be able to see into the box. But honestly, once you have these plugs in, and once this is installed in the truck, you physically have to stick your head inside the truck to be able to look underneath there. And then if you had anything mounted, any bags or anything mounted on the MOLLE grid, that's also going to help hide and protect it. We do offer, as an add-on, cut to fit floor liner, which is made out of 2.5mm rubber stuff, just like this. This one's a little bit thicker, but it's basically the same stuff. 2.5mm is the same stuff you would use on a higher end toolbox for the toolbox drawers. So it's nice and strong, nice and sturdy. Once you find out where you want to put your dividers in, you'll probably have to, you have to poke a couple holes in it to be able to keep your divider on. But other than that, another thing to point out is that on the solid front one, you will not use this bracket to mount your divider, because I don't have it in here right now, and it's pretty strong. I mean, it moves a little bit on the front, but it would definitely hold your gear even if you didn't have this front bracket on. Since it's a solid front, there's no holes to be able to put that in. But that's it. We will get this on the next step. We'll get it installed in the truck for step 2, and then step 3 we'll show you how to get the seat brackets into the seat and get it lined up with the locks. So look for us on step 2. Thanks. Okay, so we're going to start with step 2. Now that you've already put your bin together, we're going to mount it into the truck. So depending on which model truck or which trim level and stuff you have, you may have just the small surround, plastic surround, or you may have even the full Mopar box. So what comes with the kit is you get these 1-inch nylon spacers. And what that does, it raises the bin up a little bit. It actually comes over top of your floor mat. Someone asked me if it was possible to get the floor mat out once the bin is mounted, and yes, you can. You actually have probably enough to stick my hand underneath it, at least this much. So it's about a 1/2 inch, maybe a little bit more. So it's pretty easy to pop out the floor mat if you need to and pull it out. So what you want to do is take these 1-inch nylon spacers. You want to set them over top of where the threads are from the other stuff that was mounted in the truck. You want to set all 4 of them within the spots there. Excuse me. You want to take your bin, flip it over, and just kind of slowly drop it down on top, because you will see that within the bin you've got your mounting points. And just set it down on top of those spacers. Now each side comes with a 50mm screw and a fender washer. I'll pop those in. Now I highly recommend hand tightening these because I've taken these in and out so much while prototyping. You can actually tell. See, actually, even on that one, it's a little hard to get into now because my threads are getting a little messed up because of my drill. So what you want to do, like I say, hand tighten those down in there. Set it up on all sides. Get it hand tightened. You want to leave this hand tightened because in step 3, when you put in your seat brackets, you have to be able to move this back and forth a little bit to get your locks to line up. And again, you can see I can put my hand underneath it where the mat is, so you get plenty of space to be able to pull your mat out. If you're going to be mounting the air compressor in the bin, I do recommend you actually mount it in the bin before doing so, because it's going to be really hard trying to get under here and hold those bolts and nuts and stuff that are on the bottom of the compressor. But that's pretty much it. Like I say, leave those screws hand tightened until you get everything lined up, and once you get your 2 pieces lined up with each other to make the lock work, 4mm on all the bolts or screws. Hand tighten it, or if you do use a drill, I highly recommend you putting on a very low torque setting, because that is an M6 hole, just like the stuff in the bed. In case something does happen, you have to rethread it. It is an M6. Yeah, that's it. And then we'll move on to step 3 in a minute, and I'll show you how to install these seat brackets. So thanks. Okay, so we're going to look at installing the seat brackets. It comes with 2 sets of rubber strips for the seat brackets. You do want to put those on before you start trying to install the bracket. They do come with stickers as far as pinch points, because obviously when they're sitting in the seat, you're going to have a pinch point once the seat comes down. So we did put some caution stickers on there, so they are in the direction for each bracket, so you want to take a look at that and make sure you're putting it in the right direction. So on the seat, what you'll see on the bottom here is that there are 2 plastic clips that hold the bottom of the seat on. Now honestly, out of the whole install, this is probably going to be the most difficult part of the whole install, and that's putting these back together, because it is tight and it takes some effort to get those to clip back in. But you clip those out, and what you have are 2 spots of Velcro on the bottom here. You want to unzip those. Now the spots that we utilize are the 2 brackets that are built into the seat here. And you have your bolts and you have your little star nuts. You want to take each one of those, run it in from behind on these 2 holes. Pop those in. Then take your seat bracket. Now it does require that you have to cut a little hole in the bottom of the seat cover here in order to get this through, so that it has somewhere to stick out when it comes in. So what you want to do is just set your seat bracket on the bolts, kind of line it up, press it back against your seat cover just to get an area to where you want to put that slot, and then just take a sharp knife cut you a little slot in there. It is a very very robust fabric, so cutting that little slice in there, it's really not going to be taken off on you. It'll stay there. So once you have that cut, take your seat bracket. You need to slide this through before you install the bracket, or you will not be able to get it through otherwise. Set it into your bolts here. Now it does come with now one thing I do recommend, and I don't have it right now, I do recommend putting down a towel or a seat pad or something like that, because if you drop the bolts, it's going to go under your MOLLE base, and it's not the easiest to get to. So take your fender washers that come. Now it does come with locking nuts, so I'm using regular nuts just for the purpose of the install here. Get those started. And once you get that started, since that star washer is on the back, it'll kind of bite into the back of that seat bracket. If it doesn't, and you need to tighten it, especially with having the lock nuts on there, it's 10 millimeter. Just take your 10 millimeter, stick it behind there and hold it while you tighten this side down. But you want to leave these loose for now. Just like on the last step, you left the bottom a little loose, finger tighten the bolts down. Because what you're going to do now is you're going to work on lining up the hole within the bracket with the lock itself. So slowly drop your seat, because it could hit into the bracket there. And once you see where you're at, so I see that I need to move over a little more. Let's see there. Yep. Loosen a little bit. That over. Take it down just a tad. All right. Like I say, it just takes a little adjustment, getting everything into place, because basically you're locking two pieces together that weren't meant to lock together. So now that my seat's dropping, then you want to just tap your lock a little bit, and I can feel that it's hitting just a little bit. And that's what's happening now, is that you want to adjust the bottom of the bend down here a little bit. So I'm going to pull that forward just a little. So now I'm in a good spot. So I'm going to take my 4 millimeter, finish hand tightening this down. Again, I do recommend doing this hand tightening, because the threads in these mounts will strip out if you do it too much with a drill. Take you 10 millimeter. It's 10 millimeter on both sides. Like I say, see, I can see that it's already grabbing on me for the back, so I don't even have to reach behind there. So get that down nice and snug. And that's it for the bracket. You want to drop your seat cover back down. Now you can zip it up. Just take this, pull it, stick it back here and Velcro it for now, so you can make sure everything's lining up. Down. Now we're locked. That's all it takes. Now one thing I do want to point out, like I say, we've got rubber trim that goes on both of the seat brackets. The rubber trim's going around the base, which you should have already installed when you're putting the rest of the base together. Now what we did do is, this is designed so that there's some space. So in case there's getting it in there, your fingers, the only place you really need to worry about is this bracket. And again, that's why we put that pinch point sticker on there, just so it's trying to keep that safe. We also made these red, because we did have some people comment when I first put this out as a prototype. They were like, well, what if I hit my head on it? So we made it red, try to make it stand out some more. That's it. I mean, you got, like I said, you got to get your seat bracket or seat plastic pieces put back together to get your seat together. And then you'll tuck in your zippers again. That's all you got. I'm going to jump over and repeat that on the same side. Both seat brackets are independent, so that seat's up, the seat's down and locked. You can unlock whichever seat you want. It does not rely on the other one being locked or unlocked. So you can work on each side. You got the two locks that come with it. Each lock comes with 2 keys, so you have a total of 4 keys that will work for both locks. So that's pretty much it. That's the most of the install. Like I said, I'll just repeat. You do have your hole pattern for being able to mount your air compressors. You have the air. This hole pattern will run and let you use the ARB single compressors and the dual twin compressors. It's a little hard if you mount it right on the side, just because you got your mounting holes for the base of the bin. So you would want to set it a little bit farther. When I put mine together, I actually set it in the middle, and I had 2 dividers dividing it out and separating it from the rest of my gear. So, but that's it. That includes. Got any questions, let me know. 813fabrication.com, 813fabrication on Instagram. So thanks.